Hi guys, welcome back. Last week, week 5. It is last week because again, I'm behind with these videos, but we looked at Agile as a project management methodology. And so my understanding of Agile is that it is a way of doing project management that is fundamentally a little different than standard project management principles. A regular project management way of doing things is that you fix the deliverable, like you fix what it is that you're making, so the scope, that is. So the scope is well defined and everything else sort of builds into the scope. So let's say, again, taking it back to the simplest one is building a bridge. The scope is clear. Like, you're setting that out from the get-go. You know it's going to be what it's going to be made of, what structural supports it needs, and then from there you kind of, the project manager's job is to go, okay, cool, like let's work out what the time, how long it's going to cost, what resources are needed, and they're the things that fluctuate a little bit, especially time and cost, if there's overruns and all that sort of stuff. But generally the scope stays the same, whereas Agile is a methodology where the time and cost and to some extent the quality of the job needs to be utmost of important, and the actual scope itself can shift. And this is often the example they used in the course was it's especially used in software. There's probably quite a lot of other elements for Agile methodology. And so that was interesting because obviously with the software, like the customer might say, oh cool, we kind of want to go this direction, but we're not really sure what's possible, or they might even have a direction in mind, and as they develop something, they go, oh, hang on, we actually need this functionality for the software to work the way we think it needs to work. So that's how the scope can change, but it's kind of an iterative process, and it's done in sprints. Again, I'm just pretty much recounting the entire lecture. This one hit me pretty hard. Not like as in it hurt me emotionally, but it kind of actually connected with me a little bit because in my, I guess, journey the last few years, especially pretty much from the start of COVID, I got into a lot of self-development, self-help, and did a lot of soul-searching. What I realized is that this Agile methodology has quite a lot of carryover to kind of how a lot of the end result of a lot of that self-help, I guess, themes and concepts that have come about. With the Agile methodology, the resources and time and costs, they're pretty fixed, whereas the scope can change. And I had a realization when I was going back over the notes, is like, well, actually that's kind of what happens to me or to everyone. Like we, as people, we have the same sort of time and energy to a lesser or greater extent. Some people got a lot more energy, but like there's a lot of things that are the same. It's just like we don't know what our potential is until we kind of use all of the other resources and direct it at something, and the scope changes iteratively. So that was one of the things that sort of really hit home for me. At this point in my life, it was almost like when I got to a stage where I was reviewing the outcomes, and especially the outcomes and the outputs of what I had been doing previously. That sort of examination led me down the path of actually getting into project management, because at that point I was like, I had actually said, I think a year ago when I was thinking that what I needed to do something else, what should I do? I was like, I really just like working on projects because I like just getting something started up and working really hard at something, and then boom, it's done, and on to the next thing. Because that kind of plays into my mildly hyperactive nature. So bringing it back to this, is that like it was almost like choosing to get into project management in the graduate certificate sense, and sort of going down that path in a career sense, came out of the examination of the expenditure of the time and the resources, and the re-examination of the scope in my life, which was, it's kind of interesting, and I find that was very it was very easy for me to understand that. But I mean, I'm careful here not to say that Agile is the same as a very ad hoc style of project management, because it clearly isn't. It's very methodical, and that's one of the reasons why I want to actually adopt more of it in my own self and sense of actually examining the weeks and months like as they go, to make sure that I'm actually using my time the best way I can to do whatever I want to do. The other elements that I found was really fascinating with learning about Agile was the scope prioritization. In particular, they use the MOSCO, I guess, what would you call that, the methodology or the acronym, but it stands for what must happen, what should happen, and what could happen. And there's a few other things that I should probably reread because I've already forgotten. I just made a note of this one. But within the MOSCO methodology of scope prioritization, it stands for 60% is a must solve, 20% is a should solve, and the C in MOSCO is the 20% that could be solved. And I think that was another thing and I want to read into that more on how it actually directly applies to project management. But I know I could see that in directly applying it in other areas of my life, that is actually understanding how to prioritize the things that you need to do to get done. Like within this course, it's like, well, actually, the 60% that I must do right now is I must do the cost budgeting assignment I have in the other course. That is a must, as well as the readings, and then the should do is the lecture and lecture and activities and whatnot, and then the could do is the further readings. I guess again, just applying the Agile methodology to specifically my studies. But yeah, it's just sort of kind of helping me mull over the concepts and gain understanding. So anyway, I think that'll about wrap it up for me. I'm gonna try and get the next video done a little quicker, but I said that last time. So we shall see if that happens. Have a good one. Cheers.